For my astro-curious friends, those of us who are curious about the heavens above and the weather and the energy that informs the unfolding of our daily life. And you can also integrate this into your professional, into your parenthood, into your relationships. It's all encompassing. I am Teresa Phelps Martin, and I'm just going to share with you the insights that come to me through me. There's so many resources for you. Fortunately, we live in 2021, and the idea of looking at the stars as the handwriting of God, that they have a language for us, is no longer illegal. So there's so many resources. So I'm just one of many voices. So I want to remind you that you hold authority. And I approach this from the elemental influence. And then if you want to know where you can really, like the theme for your month, the area to put the boundaries and the lens on, just message me. And I can help tell you. But just to know, look at where Aquarius and Pisces sits in your own natal chart. That might be too advanced for you, but I at least want to say that out loud. And for the moons, I could be off in the full moon degrees, but the the new moon that will happen this month is going to be at 23 degrees Aquarius. And so you would look at that much detail. And a lot of us here probably aren't into that much detail. And then you would also look at the full moon, which will be in Virgo. And there's actually a lot of people who show up in this group who have strong Aquarian energy. And there's a lot of you who have strong Virgo energy. So Virgo, I believe it's 8 degrees. It could be 7 degrees, somewhere between the 8 and 7. And really, it's within orb. So you would look at your chart and see what house or what planets, what conversations happening to understand the more personalized influence. But I just wanted to share that in the beginning. Once again, you hold authority. I'm sharing this. If you need an understanding of the planets and how they dictate, you can go to the beginning of the January signature to have a better understanding of the elemental influence. And it's kind of like the weather, but it's cosmic. So I'm sitting here in Louisville. As I record this, we have snow on the ground. My sister who lives in Brooklyn just sent me a picture of her standing in the middle of the street because Brooklyn is shut down under 2 feet of snow and more snow coming. So we take action when we are aware of the weather and before us, and we actually live seasonally. Well, believe it or not, astrology is all based on seasons. And so we're in the season of the fixation of winter. That it's the sustenance that winter's coming, the real deal. This is what Aquarian is. It's a fixed sign in the element of air. And air is the major signature of this month. And it's not just because, the age of Aquarius, because some people argue that we're not there. We're still in the birthing of it. Because if you reflect on the energetic flavor of the past 12 months, we're still in major transition. And so that's the first thing you want to be aware of, is how can you expand your perspective? How can you allow for a bigger worldview, a bigger view of, like, let's just go to this, like, let's go to astrology, because believe it or not, the technology of this, the spirit of the heavenly bodies is what brings us freedom. So if we went to the moon and just looked down to Earth, what we would see is just this rock where, yes, I think we've all seen a picture, right? You wouldn't even see that the drama and the details of the pain and the suffering that happens on Earth. So I'm not asking you to rise above to where you bypass the intensity that's before us, but I would encourage you to realize that the perspective that we all come from the same place and we all go to the same place. So let's limit that for a moment, that we all come from the womb of our mother and we all get put into the ground or a mausoleum, or our ashes are burned and thrown over. This is what's known, and we all share in that. And we also share the breath. So coming back to the air energy, air is all about mental space, technology, relationships. What do we know? How do we relate? How do we connect? Who are we connecting with? How are we making an impact and an imprint? This is all the flavor of Aquarius. So the first half of February, what we're being asked to do, when I go into more of the details, and I'm going to try to not be too astrological, but the details of the mind, we're really in this state of reflection. What's the storyline that's already come forward for you this year? What are the hard truths of your relationship that you know that are being exposed? I know, it kind of sucks, right? But the reality of where we're living, right? Like I've been speaking with friends and social media, the reality is we're exhausted. So you have permission to pull back and integrate this new reality. And I think I'm not alone in saying I'm ready for it to be 2023, only because I know a lot of these bumps that we have ahead of us will have been able to integrate it. But this year, the flavor of this month, the signature of this month is really asking us to begin to look at what we know, the truths that are with us, and how can we integrate into a bigger picture, a more expansive and shared vision. This ability, and so what do we share? We come to our values. We come to that energy of, because here's the deal, the sun is in Aquarius. From now until mid-February, Sun in Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius, Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. The moon, once it's new, will be in Aquarius. Saturn in Aquarius, Jupiter in Aquarius. I lost count. That's a lot of energy. And what Aquarius is modern day associated with is this planet of Uranus, which is electric. It is our nervous system. And in that, it's also, Uranus is in Taurus, and there's going to be a headbutting this weekend. And we're going to start the flavor. You might have already been feeling it. The unfinished business, we don't want to rehash it all. But if you're willing to say, I value you, you are somebody in my life that I am willing to share resources for, but I stand over here. And how can we work together in a way not to be volatile and bashing and know-it-alls and arrogant and continue to separate ourselves? Because this is the misaligned use of air energy. But how can we listen to one another with an open mind and come back to the values of our heart? So if you just pulled out for a second and actually looked at it as like sacred astronomy for a moment, okay? I began this saying if you were on the moon, right? If we had that ability and looking back at the earth, we'd have a whole new perspective of ourselves. And this is how I dreamed as a young girl. So this is a very clear perspective for me. If we went to a more elevated plane of understanding what is unseen and the technology of how we come together, then what we can do is listen with more openness and more willingness, and not to be know-it-alls, but have an impact by the way we choose to lead. And coming back to those values of we all share Earth. And as we all share Earth right now, you have the sun, and the backdrop behind the sun is the constellation of Aquarius. And hanging out, if you thought about the whole solar system, if you can remember that, all these planets are all hanging over this energy of not my beautiful lotus man, but the energy of the constellation, the sky story of Aquarius. That's pretty heavy. It can kind of throw us off a little. So there's a lot of need to want to rush ahead and think forward. What we can do is we can use that energy for the higher good, because this is the idea of the element of air is the signature and the imprint to come up with ideas, to think to the future, forward thinking. Now, the interesting part about this is just the first half of February. I actually thought about breaking it up, but The interesting thing is that Aquarius energy is also associated with other people's children. And I don't want to get into the technicality of that, but so if it's the idea of other people's children, so like I have my kids. So if you made choices, whether you have kids or no kids, that you made choices for the future generations, for other people's children, and you invited this connection with like-minded values, where we really, my friend Drew says this and I keep hearing it. So when somebody says it and it lands and then I hear like 3 other people say it, then I'm like, well, I'm going to say it too, because I really believe the unseen energy is delivering this message for me, which is air is the messenger. I heard Rick Levine share, and I can't remember who he quoted, so I apologize, but the shortest distance between 2 points is a thought, not a line, a thought. That's the air energy, because air energy moves quick, it moves fast, but we're being asked to use our ability to reform structure. That the ground is breaking, right? I think we can say that. I think we can all collectively say that what was is no longer. What is to be is up to us. So that air energy is this idea to be idea, 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 idea. So here's the sweet spot in it all. We still have some anchors in earth. Transformation in earth and groundbreaking electric humanitarian of our homes, of our home life, of our value system, as well as our motivation, our drive, our encouragement. So these are beautiful anchors, but they're gonna test and challenge and say, no, we have to do it this way. No, I have to do it this way. I think we see this happening a lot. And when those energies square off, 90-degree angle, it's a challenge. It's an opportunity for us to be motivated. So when we have ideas, these big creative, just, the sky's always blue, oh, we could do this, oh, we could do this, oh, we could do this. We're given permission to think outside of the box, to think of other people's children and think into the future, but from a place of value, anchored in the practicality of how do we move forward? How do we begin to realize the structure of what we've known is still collapsing. It is still, but we are breaking ground in what we can build upon. So the new moon that will happen, I have February 12th, but it could be February 11th or February 13th. Sometimes when I go here, the details get blurry. But just know that when it happens, there's so much energy asking us to think outside of the box. Now, when you're big and expansive and feeling responsible for the future and ready to talk and ready to, you've been reflecting and rethinking how you want to engage, there's a momentum to leap ahead, except for hold up. Cultivate boundaries. How do you cultivate boundaries? This is earth energy. When we're overwhelmed, when we're anxious, we actually hug into the system, right? Like, who has a dog who gets scared by fireworks or travel or anything, and you put a thunder jacket on them? Who sleeps with a weighted blanket? I do. I've learned that I have to. We want to insulate the nervous system so it doesn't fry out. So you create the boundaries based on your core values. But what we want to do is realize the kiss of the first month of January was this new energy that we insulate with these values that come from the heart, that come from shared resources, shared energy, a shared collective vision. Not saying where we convince everybody, like as I sit here and I preach, not where we're trying to convince everybody, but we're collaborating. We're connecting with like-minded individuals who are ready for a shift in perspective, which is why I'm really working on being consistent, even though it's really difficult right now, because the infrastructure of my life is changing just like it is in yours. We are all being asked to get out of our comfort zone without losing our center. Okay, so the month, February, I'm just going to summarize real quick. February starts off with the integration of the energy that came forward with the start of the new year. Realize though, as I'm recording this, February 2nd is Groundhog Day. It's also this moment where the seasonal energy, we're at the midway point. We're midway through winter, which holds so much symbolism. It's actually a time of harmony. But we're in this time of being really fixated on what is. And we have to be willing to adapt so that when spring comes, okay? So integrating that storyline, integrating in the messages, what do you really, really know? What are the hard truths that you kind of want to go blah, but you can start to accept and work with, okay? And then come the second week of February, we'll have the new moon, because that's just how it works. And so new beginnings, new energy. What are the seeds of what's already gone? And if you really wanted to go there, you could go, what was going on in August of this year? And I don't have I can have the lunar family of moving forward, but we're planting seeds that'll carry us until May of 2023, okay? So in that scope, there's this sacred energy because the moon represents our soul. The sun represents our spirit. And the energy of earth is the material plane, our matter. So in that energy of the moon, what is the soul purpose that you can begin to illuminate, that can continue to crystallize, that you can take the idea and bury it into the earth so it can come forward, okay? So that second week of February. The third week of February, we start to feel the movement forward of Mercury. So the story starts to tell itself in this new form, with new language, with new ideas, with new energy. And then we shift into the deep waters where we realize that, we all, these are also Rick Levine's words, so sorry, they stick with me very visually, where we all kind of go back into the swamp of where we came from. This ability to really be able to adapt, to be dreamy. And we're gonna have some kisses through the first part of February that are long-lasting transits of really kind of undoing and agitating the system to rebuild from humanity, from a new value system. And that's going to last all year long. And then we have some fleeting moments where we can feel these little kisses of sweetness. We're going to feel moments where we're agitated with the way we travel and the way other people travel. But for me, that happens all the time. But we're also going to feel these little kisses of like, how can we dream a bigger vision that's from our values? How can we expand this in a way that brings freedom and benevolence to all beings everywhere? Isn't that the idea of every major faith? All beings everywhere. So we get these little smooches, and to me, it's how do you ritualize your daily life? So dream, open up to new perspectives. Don't get so stuck and fixated that it has to happen one way. Allow yourself to open up to these new levels of a heightened perspective where you can see the collective co-creating, but in the energy of this, so when we go to new moon, we'll feel the momentum of the third week of February. We'll have these dreams, we'll have these visions, we'll feel this watery ability because Venus, which is values and resources and relationships, she is full steam ahead, and she's gonna drop into the season of Pisces right after the sun does, and then she's going to actually move ahead of the sun, whereas Mercury is going to be back. So our values are going to lead the way, and there's going to be this ability to be motivated by this energy. So come the third week of February, we're going to feel this rising of it, and then with the full moon that will close out. Isn't that really cool? I think I turned my page, so yeah, the full moon will close out February. And how do we really embody this energy in our daily lives? How do we take the seeds and plant the blessings of benevolence and be devoted to it? And when we get to that energy, we feel a little more shift. We don't feel as much of the tension that we might feel right now, but we want to stay committed. All earth signs are the follow through, the devotion, the dedication, The ability to keep one foot on the ground and one foot turned up to receive grace. And that's what Venus is. I'm going to be talking about Venus all year long because she is the energy of grace. We're going through our life lessons. We're going through great humanitarian growth together. While you feel alone, because you are, there's only one person in the world that knows how you operate, and that's you, who knows your truth. And so in that energy, this is the thing. If you have strong Aquarius, anything, moon, rising, or sun, you feel very like quirky, or you don't belong somewhere because you belong in the future. Just saying. Because you've collected all this information and you know so much. But if we can welcome in the grace of Venus energy and be motivated from these values, be motivated in our relationships, then we can handle the challenges that are asking us to grow, to rebuild, to restructure, to bring forward more freedom. And I don't think I ever said it. Drusana is the one who said it, and then I've literally have read it numerous times. Drew, if you watch this, so props to you if it was a download, is hope in action. The vision to move forward into the future. So this is pretty much the signature of February. When we go from air to swimming into the deep waters, you're going to want to breathe. The good news is we'll have this air energy. Like, I'm going to show you something that's really complicated. And as you look at it, you're going to see yellow is air, green is earth, blue is water, and red is fire. The only fire we will have in the sky all month long is when the moon goes through Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. That's it. There's no fire. So there's not this initiation, there's not this movement, not this passion. We're really being asked to, as above, so below, pulling in, realizing how opposites can meet into the center. So when I show you this, okay, this is like, tells you where all the planets are. Thanks to Kepler, he figured it out. And it's that predictable. When you look at that, do you see how much yellow there is? Yellow, 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 a little bit of green. These are, guys, we're going to have this green and this blue for years. Okay, a few more years, which is good and bad. So in that air energy, so look at how do you take care of the air element in you? How do you relate with air? How can you stay aligned with this energy, your perspective? Do you need to cultivate more of it? Do you need to talk more? Do you need to take public speaking somehow, some way? Do you need to work on listening because you talk just because you're uncomfortable? Do you need to realize that you have so many ideas, but pick one? And maybe that you're just going to love on yourself, that you're going to dig into this perspective and realize that you're part of something bigger. And your uniqueness is the beauty, is the significance. Okay, I love you all. I appreciate you. A few people who found this live, because I didn't tell you I was going to do it because I couldn't be that committed. But my commitment stands. And as I piece it together, I'm swimming through new waters myself. I'm sure you are. So I thank you for your compassion. If there's one thing, like what can I really contemplate on, is compassion right now. How do we bring that watery energy with us? Because there's not a lot of it. If you dry out, drink lots of water. If you're floating up in the clouds, get into nature, even if it's really cold. Breathe in that air. Kara Price, I'm working with her because I'm realizing there's a part of my lungs that have not been utilized in 19 years. It's a long time. And so I'm trying to breathe into it. It's intense, it's painful, it hurts, but I know it's worth it. Okay, I know it's worth it. It's worth for my own strength, my own capacity, so that when I can be consistent, because I know that's coming for me and I believe in it, that then I can come forward with more clarity, which, by the way, clarity. If I wanted to sum up February, one word: clarity, connection. Clarity and connection. How about that? So put compassion there, because if you feel that you're trying to prove your point and be right, you're wrong. We're all right, okay? So back off and just work on listening. Breathe deeply. Breathe into the back of your lungs. Ask for guidance. Connect to your spiritual realm, whatever that is for you, because Lord knows I'm going to be going there come the end of February and into Pisces season, because that's just how it works for me. So thank you, whether you're watching this live, if you're still with me. If you found this on a replay, whether you're in the Mindfully You group or you found me on YouTube, I so appreciate it. And what I'm learning and having to accept is I'm rethinking my relationship with technology that's ancient, technology that's modern, and realizing that ultimately the only way I can step forward when the time comes is by using social media. So if you can comment, it really helps me. Even if you're on YouTube, a like, anything. And please make it genuine. And if you feel that this message can be beneficial to somebody, feel free to share it or invite them into the Mindfully You group. I'm baby stepping, but I'm realizing that it's inevitable. Even if you're friends with me on Facebook or Instagram, comment on my comments. I appreciate all that love, that generosity will pay all of it forward, because as always, you hold ultimate authority. You are the ultimate creator. We are just co-creating together. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, straight from me to you. I can hear my kids in the background. It's one day I'm gonna miss them, but I hear them all the time. Oh, look at you. Your only intention set for the last new moon was clarity and guidance. So Allison, I'm gonna piggyback on that real quick, because I know you've been reading Jennifer Rassiope's Cosmic Health. I encourage it for anybody. If anybody wants books, ask me. Or if you want to know who to go listen to, ask me. That's what intentions are. Intentions for moons are about the emotional quality that we want to live with, because our emotions are how we build rapport with the rest of the world. It's how we have resonance with like-minded individuals. So putting forward the idea of a goal of I will have, 500 views is important to speak it out. But the Bob is really what the moon's energy is for our soul. And that is, like you said, clarity and guidance. And so open yourself to the multiple avenues that guidance might find you. And by the way, this is in a major theme for what year are we? 2021 is unexpected. Be surprised. So that's it. All right. Bye. Love you.